Hello and welcome to another episode of Sutton Impact Family Style. I'm Jason.
And I'm Bill. And Jason and I have been talking offline, so we're going to start our conversation there. I realize it's March Madness, so we're going to spend some time on March Madness on the show. But again, the NFL with the 12-month plan to always be in the news has had a really amazing week.
It's working.
And so Jason and I were talking about all the movement on these quarterbacks, how it's going to affect the draft. So go ahead, Jason. Let's keep talking where we were talking.
All right, well, as some people know, Minnesota, let's start with Minnesota because they technically made the biggest move with Case Keenum. They let Case Keenum go, they let Sam Bradford go, and they let Teddy Bridgewater go to sign Kirk Cousins.
How do you feel about that move? Good move or bad move?
I don't see it with Kirk Cousins. I think he's a perfectly serviceable NFL starter. But you went 13-3 and you went to the NFC Championship game with Case Keenum. That whole team played. The Eagles game was just, that team just got blown out of the building from the get-go. I don't think you couldn't blame that on, it wasn't like you were one quarterback, one throw away from winning. You just got blown out of the building in every phase of the game.
The question comes down to the fact, did you think that year was an aberration for Case Keenum, or did you think he's capable of that next year? And obviously, they didn't think he was capable of the same game next year. Or they just thought Kirk Cousins was more of an upgrade.
It's true. But you gave Kirk Cousins, I know quarterback, it's kind of stupid to say he's the highest paid player in the history of the position because pretty much any quarterback that signs is now, and the next highest paid guy, it'll be Matt Ryan, then it'll be Aaron Rodgers, and then whoever comes up next. But I don't, like I said, I just don't see it with Kirk Cousins. I don't know. I'll probably be proven wrong.
I've not been impressed.
No.
But if you look at the stats are impressive. I look at the results, and the results aren't impressive.
No.
But, he's going into a team, stepping into a team that has a lot of tools.
You got receivers,
we'll see what happens.
Tight end, great defense. Delvin Cook coming back, look good as a running back. Playing in a dome. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I guess
let's move to the Jets now, because the Jets signed Teddy Bridgewater.
And Josh McCown.
Which, Josh McCown's like a plan C.
He get $10 million guaranteed.
And they gave up their number one and three number twos
to move up three spots. That's a long way to go.
What do you think is going to happen?
I would say, in my opinion, knowing the way the Browns have been these last few years, unless the Browns really they must really like somebody, because I feel like they would have moved back to 4 or 6 and had 3 more number twos, if that, because that trade probably was offered to them too.
Yeah.
Because they said that the Jets paid extra from, there's whatever that value chart is, and that chart is for whatever it's worth. It's based on, statistics, but if you get the player you like and he turns out to be a great player, then he's a great player. And you won that trade, I think. Assuming Deshaun Watson stays healthy, it doesn't matter if you gave up 2 number ones and a number 2 to get him. If he's a franchise quarterback for the next 10 years, it's a franchise quarterback for the next 10 years.
Right.
And I assume if you're moving up, giving up all that equity, if you're the Jets, it can't be for a running back. It's got to be for a quarterback.
Okay, so now you're saying, so Sam Darnold would go 1 or whoever.
Right.
And then Saquon Barkley would go number 2 to the Giants.
Presumably.
And then the Jets would take the number 3 quarterback, who could be Josh Allen or could be Baker Mayfield.
Or Josh Rosen.
Could be Josh Rosen. I don't see that one.
No, but if like I said, I think if you love a quarterback, you go get a quarterback. Yeah. So as we were saying, last year was somewhat of an anomaly in that Nick Foles was the Super Bowl winning quarterback. And people like to point Joe Flacco out. They'd like to point out Trent Dilfer. I'm just talking about the last 20 years or so. And then they occasionally like to throw in Eli Manning, although it's kind of hard to say where he fits in the franchise elite quarterback versus just some guy off the street quarterback. Because he's a very perplexing quarterback. But if you look at the AFC, for the last 2 decades, if you want to be a good team, you've got Brady as your quarterback, Peyton Manning as your quarterback, or Ben Roethlisberger as your quarterback. And that's 3 Hall of Fame quarterbacks. And I think that's still the play. You look at the Patriots, it doesn't seem to matter who they put around him. As long as they have Brady, they're going far. They can compete.
Yeah, that's a good point.
And I know you'll probably get analytics guys that'll come out of the woodwork and they'll be like, if your defense is a top 3 defense, you can win with anybody as your quarterback or whatever they're going to come up with. But I think if you really look at it, a great quarterback always gives you a chance to win. and you need everything else to go perfect the other way. You know.
True.
And like I said, I think last year's playoffs were just confusing with, Case Keenum and Nick Foles and the other poo-poo platter of everybody else besides Brady that was in that of the playoff teams. But we forgot to talk about the new heist that Sam Bradford committed on the Arizona Cardinals. He got
$15 million guaranteed
and $20 million for a year.
1 year.
And that's a guy that I've never seen it from. Like, I know he had 71 completion percentage 1 year where he dinked and dunked his way to 70% complete. But he's got a degenerative knee condition, and he literally cannot stay healthy. And he keeps getting paid. Minnesota traded 2 first-round picks for him. Like, he's been dealt twice.
I think they'd go back in the DeLorean and change that, though.
Yeah, like, I know he was the number 1 overall pick, and he was the number 1 overall pick the year before they put the rookie salary cap in. So he got a ridiculous amount of money then. Every time he's been traded, he keeps getting re-signed at this huge, and he's never really done anything.
No.
And I saw that number, and I was like, I know Bridgewater's coming off, but I'd rather have Teddy Bridgewater or Josh McCown or nobody, I think, than Sam Bradford. Because if you're Arizona, like, what's the best case scenario with Bradford? He gives you 7 good weeks and put you, further away from a quarterback the next year of the draft. I just don't know what they're doing. I don't know.
I don't either. So who do you think the Browns are going to take then? Which quarterback?
I mean, everything I read, they keep saying Sam Darnold.
Okay.
Everyone says despite the 22 turnovers in college, they said they really liked what they saw from him and that he's the guy. I don't know. I just don't. I mean, there's something about him I don't like, and that's whatever. I do like, I like Josh Rosen as a person, because I think when people try to say that activism was more important than football to him, was trying to make that a negative. Like I think coming in the wake of everybody kneeling, like that seemed to be a real knock on him, that he cared about people and wanted to help people and use his platform as a voice. And they try to imply that you can't do both, which I think is ridiculous. And J.J. Watt and a number of players obviously came to his defense. I watched this combine, and Josh Allen has just a phenomenal arm, like freakishly big arm, which I know we've seen that many times in the draft before. But he seems like he's got a good attitude. And then again, this is based on what I read. I'm not a scout, as you obviously know, but that. His foot, all the things that they said were a knock on him coming out of college at small school, that he's shown already improvements in all those areas, like the tighter release, But I like the kid from Louisville. I like Lamar Jackson a lot. And I do like the plucky Baker Mayfield. So those are I pretty much said everybody but Sam Darnold. But so hopefully the Browns take Sam Darnold.
We'll see.
I mean, obviously I just named 6 quarterbacks, so technically the Browns could still get their quarterback at 4 if they see them all as equal.
In a Bleacher Report today, I noticed that the Steelers have spent an inordinately amount of time with Mason Rudolph.
I know. And you like that as an Oklahoma State guy.
I love that as an Oklahoma State guy, and I love Mason Rudolph.
Now, most people I've read, the criticism on him is they think he's just a career backup. I actually read one person.
They already got 2 of those.
I know. I saw one article compare him to a poor man's Kirk Cousins. And I just spent 5 minutes trashing Kirk Cousins. So, I don't know. If I'm the Steelers, I'm loading up on everything but. I'm going to ride out Roethlisberger for 2 years and then roll with whatever happens after that. But I'm not going to, unless, it's 3rd round or 4th round. I'm not spending an early pick. I think you're too close to the Super Bowl right now, to be wasting picks on a developmental quarterback.
Yeah.
Personally, I don't know.
I'm assuming they've let Landry Jones go, and maybe they didn't see enough from Josh Dobbs, and that's why they're spending time with him.
That's the part that bums me out. It was people that listened to the podcast last year, which is really cool because we've been over a year. I was a big Josh Dobbs fan. I thought
yes, you were.
We
both were. With Vanderbilt, smart guy, Air Force guy, big arm.
Yeah, he's a literal rocket scientist, builds robots.
Yeah.
Seemed to have a really good attitude. I was really hoping he would develop into somebody that could, potentially be a starter 2 or 3 years from now. But I think if you're seriously looking at, Mason Rudolph, who's probably at least a second or third round pick,
yeah,
you must have seen nothing from him.
I'm thinking that's true too.
Because obviously
All right,
they
well,
like.
it would be March if we didn't talk about basketball.
It's true.
All right, so I got a big kick out of SportsCenter this morning with the UMBC folks calling in because a lot of people were referring to them as the Golden Retrievers,
Mm-hmm.
and so they had to call in and set the record straight that it's a Chesapeake Bay Retriever and it's brown.
It's very nice.
So that was the big thing. That, and I was on Twitter this morning, and Butler's mascot, they have a live bulldog, but they also have a mascot, right?
Right.
And they showed the mascot, the real bulldog had come with them from Indianapolis to Detroit to find out that the NCAA does not permit live mascots at the first round games, but they're okay at the Final Four.
Huh.
So I had decided that how the NCAA pays so much attention to the minutia and never pays attention to the big things. Why would you care if the dog was at the game or not? Why does it make a difference? Why do you have to have a rule that the dog can't be at a first-round game? It seems stupid to me.
And especially because it's allowed other times. Like, first round, no. Final Four, yes. Sweet 16, if it's an emotional support dog, then sure. If not, then no. I mean...
So for everybody that follows me on Twitter, here was my quote. The NCAA always makes sure that all of its I's are dotted and its T's are crossed, but in reality, the alphabet's a mess. So that's my quote from Twitter, if anybody doesn't follow me on Twitter.
It's very good.
All right, so...
But what do you think about a
six... Maryland, Baltimore County. I thought they were a fun team to watch.
But what do you think about a 16 beating a 1? Handily.
Incredible, especially that one.
They were the number one overall seed in the
that
tournament.
Wasn't just a one of the four. That was the 1-1.
Right. So there literally could never be a bigger upset in NCAA tournament history. Anybody else would just be matching it.
Well,
because they're the number one overall seed.
Were they 64 or were they 61 or 62?
I actually thought they were 65 or something ridiculous because I thought they were playing. I don't know. Whatever they were. I mean, you beat the number one overall seed. Like by 20 points.
I know. And then I was following the perfect brackets, and when that one happened, I said, well, there can't be anybody now. And it was true. There's no perfect brackets left.
No.
I'm shocked that somebody picked Buffalo to win that game. The game Buffalo won. Who Buffalo beat? Arizona?
They beat Arizona with this, with the potential number one overall pick, the freakishly athletic DeAndre Ayton.
And that wasn't a game.
No. And you look at a guy that's 7 feet tall with a 7'6" wingspan and all the talent in the world, but a 6'7" dude was able to take him to the hole whenever he wanted.
Yeah, I get a feeling that a lot of NBA teams are going to watch that tape.
Well, I know the knock on him all year is that he doesn't have defensive instincts. But, I mean, if you're that big and you're supposedly that athletic, like I said, he got just schooled by a 6'7" forward that just had his way with him whenever he wanted.
Yeah.
And you're supposedly the number one overall pick. And I know people love him because they're like, well, I know people keep harping on, he's a big who can shoot threes. He's a big he can shoot threes. And I think it's great because obviously if you have a big, you can pull him out. And if you have a guy like Damian Lillard, Russell Westbrook, LeBron James, all of a sudden you're clearing out the paint and giving them a free, a much easier play. And the only way that's effective is if you can knock down a shot. But at the same time, I feel like if I'm drafting a 7-footer with skill, I kind of want DeMarcus Cousins,
Yeah.
I want a guy that, who can pull it out and shoot from 15 to 20 feet if need be, but a guy that I can dump it into and he can get a basket in the paint. I mean...
Yeah, guys who get a bunch of rebounds.
Ideally, yeah.
And a guy's a force. On defense, too.
I definitely want him a force on defense. Otherwise, I don't know what the point is.
I agree.
And, I mean, Gonzaga has held on.
A couple games I'm interested in today. Really, I'm interested in Marshall and West Virginia.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's one of those things where Huggins comes in there and they stop playing Marshall. And so they kind of diss Marshall. And I think the Marshall guys are going to be really up for this game.
I'm hoping.
And West Virginia's been a very inconsistent team. Now, one thing Huggins said, and I had to check it out on Google. Huggins said they're 4 hours away. I don't think there's anything 4 hours away from Morgantown, still in the state of West Virginia. It's not that big. But he said they're 4 hours away when I was watching his press conference. And I'm thinking, maybe by tractor, but not by any other way. So I'm going to look that up. But I'm rooting hard, and I think that's the last game of the day.
The Thundering Herd.
Got to root for the Herd.
Got to root for the Herd. I mean, yeah, overall I think it's been a decent tournament. I think a lot of the things they talk about, I mean, I know, David Stern addressed it at one point, and obviously Adam Silver's addressing it now. I mean, I think one and done legitimately hurts the tournament.
No question.
Because again, I don't know any of the, I mean, especially as me who doesn't follow college basketball that closely, at least if other guys, I've seen them for 3 or 4 years, even if it's just through other tournaments, but now I don't know who anybody is. And the people I do know are the overhyped, presumable lottery picks in the draft. And I watch Arizona and I'm like, I don't think I'd want to spend the number one. I wouldn't be excited if I had the number one overall pick and I'm picking DeAndre Ayton.
Not now.
No. I mean, was the knock on him going in, and it looked like that knock was real, very, very real. So, I don't know.
Yeah.
I didn't even fill out a bracket this year. This is the first year I think I've ever not filled out a bracket.
I didn't fill out a bracket, but I quit a few years ago.
We had one at work. I just, I figured I'd rather have the $20 because I probably would have got it. I mean, I would have lost on,
You and I are always good for taking an emotional bet.
Yes.
So,
of course.
Probably lose on that one.
Let's talk some local New Orleans basketball, and I guess Houston at the same time. With the Houston Rockets went on to beat the Pelicans last night, and the Pelicans coach was fuming about the foul calls and the fouls and the traveling and the officiating in that game. And I don't blame him because, as we talked about a little bit off air, it seems like the NBA is very much in the James Harden camp to the point where it seems
no question.
like he's a recipient of so many calls, and they never seem to call push-offs on him, which he does every other play, or traveling, because he's adopted the
either travels or pushes off, or makes sure that he brings his arms from his ankles up so it looks like he's trying to shoot. So he hits you with his arms and gets a foul call.
Right. He's getting beyond superstar calls right now.
No, he's getting travesty calls. He's ruining the game.
Because I know LeBron sort of spoke about it when they played him, and it's absurd the calls he's getting. Like, it seems like anyone's near him when he's shooting a three, they're giving him an extended play. And again, it's not fun to watch because he's flopping too. But I don't blame the Pelicans guy for being really angry because, I mean, you look at some of the disparities in foul calls and it's like they're calling like 6 or 7 fouls when he's on the perimeter because, like you said, someone will be near him and he'll just throw his arms in the air and flail until he smashes into the other guy and he's shooting a three. All of a sudden, it just...
Well, Jace, we know that if Houston makes the NBA Finals, that they change the officiating dramatically during the NBA Finals. And it's a war. You can do whatever you want to do. I mean, they don't call a lot of fouls in the NBA Finals.
But who's making it? Is it Toronto? Is that now our favorite in the East at this point?
I think you'd have to say so. Hard to believe. I mean, the Celtics haven't pulled away like I thought they would.
No, and they've got a million injuries right now.
They're all banged up. They get a lot of, they've made some moves and they haven't really gelled together. The Cavaliers, I thought, coming out of the trade, those first 4 or 5 games, I thought, okay, it's going to be Cavaliers Warriors again. And now it could be Raptors Rockets.
I know. Now, I know the NBA would love to have not the Raptors, I'm assuming.
No.
You can only show Drake on TV so many times, and Asim Missouri, whatever that guy's name is. He's a fun GM, but DeMar DeRozan is not, as great as he's had a year. He should be in the MVP conversation, at least in the conversation.
Right.
He still doesn't seem like he gets nearly enough national love. And I know because he's been somewhat of a disappointing player in a few years in a row. Although Harden has too, so who knows why that's working as far as the love he's getting versus Rosen. But it's really looking like that's a very distinct possibility. They're the Raptors in the East. Because the Wizards are not making it. the Celtics, besides Hayward, obviously, they're saying Kyrie's going to need off-season surgery. Marcus Smart probably be out to at least the playoffs. Jason Tatum looks like he's back to earth to the rookie wall. I mean, just going all the way down. Like I don't know where that who else is making it out of the East. And the Cavs. Again, I was kind of excited to see like a pumped up LeBron and a bunch of young guys running around, flying around, but they just don't look great. And I don't think Kevin Love is.
An inconsistency is the worst thing you can have in March. Unless you really get your shit together in April. We'll see.
And they are waiting on Kevin Love to come back, to be fair, for whatever that's worth. And I'm not sure what that's worth. But
yeah, he makes it better. There's no question in my mind he makes it better.
Yeah, it's true. We're now almost to hockey playoff time. We won't do any hockey talk today.
And I went to the hockey game last night, and the Lightning didn't show up.
That's too bad.
The Lightning and the Bruins won 3-0. He scored 2 goals in like the first 12 minutes.
There's been some crazy blowouts in hockey this year, but I feel like more so than ever. But it's almost like some team sees that they're losing and they just sort of like, save for the next game.
So the NHL permitted the Lightning to wear Shamrock Green jerseys to warm up in, but not to play in.
And that was because?
Because who knows?
Because who knows? I assume that's a contract. But I mean, I guess technically whoever made their uniforms made the Shamrock Green ones as well.
That's correct. And every baseball team yesterday wore a St. Patrick's Day hat and a St. Patrick's Day shirt. That's
a bizarre rule because that's one, like if you see them playing on the ice and you're a big Tampa Bay Lightning fan, all of a sudden you're like, you know what? I want to get that green jersey just to have a little color in my own wardrobe,
Exactly. And this was like a green jersey, and he had some like flannel plaid in it too.
That sounds great.
Kind of wild, like Adidas made it.
Like I'm tired of all this blue and silver and blue and white. I need a little green, but still supporting my team.
What's it gonna hurt? And you watch the guys warm up in it. Maybe they should have kept them on. Maybe they were depressed and they took them off. That's why they got their ass kicked. I don't know.
I'd be a little bummed. I like green.
So, switching to TV.
Okay.
So I finished the last episode of Bellevue. And I probably should have bailed after the 3rd or 4th episode.
It happens.
But I hung in. And so I will tell you, bad acting can kill a story.
Easily.
And there's not one memorable actor in Bellevue. In fact, it could be the worst acted series or drama that I have ever seen.
Wow.
Yes. Terrible acting.
That is nuts.
I did watch Collateral on Netflix upon your recommendation.
It's pretty good, right?
Yeah, it's pretty good.
It's only 4 episodes. A small commitment, which is nice.
Yeah, they were just 4 hours, 58-minute episodes.
See, that show really was well acted. And
that show was very well acted and very well cast.
Yeah. And I thought it was, very socially relevant, which I know not everybody wants out of their entertainment from time to time, but,
That was a story for 2018. There's no question.
Exactly.
It was enjoyable.
Now, here's a show I've been watching that I really do like that's a silly, stupid comedy, and that is The Detour on, I think, TBS.
Okay.
It stars
you're right.
Not Jason Sudeikis, but Jason from The Daily Show. Natalie Z, who we loved from Justified. And it's about a family on the run. And it just gets crazier and crazier, but I find it a really fun show. Like, it's a little stupid, a little crazy, a little out there, and it's a lot of like if you took the Chevy Chase National Vacation movie and turned it into a 2018, sort of family on the run TV show. It's got a little of that to it.
Okay. Detour. All right.
Yeah.
Well, I'm finishing watching The Alias. That's the last episode's tomorrow night or not, but like I said, I've been really into that all year. It's been good. I've got a couple food moments, and I know you have one.
I do.
Okay, why don't you start with your New Orleans food moment? Then I have 2 from Phoenix.
Okay, so I went to the top-rated breakfast place according to Yelp, finally, after living here almost a year, and that is the Ruby Slipper. And the Ruby Slipper is an excellent, excellent breakfast place. They have a couple of unique things. They've got a very good biscuit, and their biscuits come with cane sugar-infused butter. which it's just a dark brown sweet butter that's absolutely delicious. It goes good on a biscuit, and it goes great on a pancake. It goes so good on a pancake, you don't even need any syrup. Although they do also offer pure maple syrup there, which is a nice option. It costs a little extra to get that as opposed to the regular house syrup, but you can get the pure maple syrup, which I like. And their pancake is an excellent pancake. Now, for me, I don't like a giant, fluffy, flat pancake. This one, it's not quite as thick as some other pancakes. And it also, the edges are a little bit, because you can tell they use butter. So there's a little crispy edge and a couple crispy brown lines throughout the pancake. But, it changes up the, the mouthfeel, if you will, from the cooking shows. Gives a little crispiness to it. Really good. And they had a very crazy New Orleans menu. It's worth checking out. So it's called Ruby Slipper. And I think they have 3 locations down here in New Orleans. So definitely check it out if you come down here.
All right. I will give you Blanco in Scottsdale, Arizona.
Okay.
From the Fox Restaurant Group. And it's a Mexican place. And Mom had a beef short rib enchilada. And I had fajitas. And I'll tell you, I had carne asada fajitas. They were probably the best I've ever had. Mom had the enchilada. And it comes in like a skillet.
Okay.
So that it kind of comes together like lasagna.
Oh.
So you eat out of the skillet, and Mom said it was tremendous.
Okay.
And then the next night we went to Richardson's, which is our favorite restaurant in Phoenix. It's New Mexico style food. I think I mentioned on the food last week. And once again, anything you have there is tremendous. They have a lot of things called trio, where you get one of 3 different things.
I like those.
It's an excellent place to go.
Nice. I'm a big fan of the sample platters at restaurants. We get multiple meats and multiple dishes.
You get a piece of beef, like a fillet, a piece of pork, and a piece of fish. And then he also had a trio of fish, where he had 3 different fish.
That's really nice. I like that.
Yeah. It's good.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think that's probably going to wrap up the show this week. We'll be back with some more tournament talk next week. Probably more NFL, because the NFL is not going away.
Not going away at all. And it's interesting to see, a little bit of maneuvering now. There's been a lot. All the free agent stuff's been really interesting. And then this. I still can't believe that the Dolphins let Landry go away. The Sue thing I can kind of understand.
Well, especially because, what you gave up.
I'm curious as to who picks him up and how much they pay him.
Because you replaced Jarvis Landry, and I know some people say he's just a glorified slot receiver, but he's got the most catches in the NFL over the first 4 seasons of any player ever. And you're replacing him with Albert Wilson, who's average at best, and Danny Amendola, who, no matter how clutch he can be, has a little Sam Bradford in him, as in the fact he can't stay healthy. So that's a weird... You're paying the same amount for those 2 guys as opposed to a guy that started for you every single year and seems like at least a safety blanket for your quarterback, and he had 9 touchdowns last year. So...
Hey, I'm going to say, without Tom Brady, I don't know how good Danny Amendola is.
No, I did see an awesome meme, though. It was a picture of a crying Tom Brady, but it said the only person that'll miss Danny Amendola more than Tom Brady, and the next slide was Ryan Tannehill. Obviously implying that Ryan Tannehill can't throw at anybody.
Okay. That's pretty good.
And I was seeing crying Brady.
Any ideas where he's going to land?
I think he's going to take one of those 1-year prove-it deals, and I sadly think he's going to end up as a Patriot regardless, somehow.
You know what, Jason? It's exactly what I was going to say. I think he's going to end up as a Patriot.
And he's just going to be a terror for the year. And as long as he can keep his head on for a little bit, I think they'll love him up there.
Patriot, my second thing was Raven. One of those 2.
It just feels like the move,
Yeah, I agree. All right, buddy. We'll enjoy the rest of March Madness. We'll talk to you during Sweet